Why do we have to make everything so difficult for ourselves? Why do we have to force ourselves to be second half FC? Why is everything so difficult in that first 45 minutes? And then suddenly we switch on. I don't know. It's a little bit of a confusing one for me. Somehow we've come away winning the group today. Thank you to Vitoria beating Frankfurt. I'm looking at the table right now. So after the 6 games, we've won 3 of them. So a 50% win rate. It's not great. It's not too bad. 2 draws, 1 loss, 14 goals scored, 7 conceded, finishing with 11 points. At one point in this game, we were going to finish second place because Frankfurt were winning in their game against Vitoria, but they've turned it around. They've won 3-2. I think it was 3-2. Let me just double check that scoreline. Yeah, 3-2 to Vitoria. So thank you to them. I mean, a draw would have been enough for us to get first place, but them winning, fantastic. So that's given us first place, even though we weren't that great. I mean, the first few games of the group stage, I thought we were phenomenal. You know, the first 2 games, was it 5-0, 4-0? I forget, but really good performances. And then, of course, we went through such a tough time. And we've kind of plateaued a little bit, not been so good towards the end of the group stage. But do you know what? We've got the job done. And we saw the kids today. We saw a few of the players coming in that don't normally get minutes. And there's a few of them that I quite enjoyed watching. Others, not so much. Let's talk about the decision to go 3 at the back today, because I actually think that hurt us a lot in this game. You could see as soon as we switched to 4 at the back, my God, what a difference. And as soon as Martinelli came on as well, man, this kid is something special. So 3 at the back with Mavropanos coming in, David Luiz in the middle, and then Socrates. I mean, talk about slow centre-backs, a slow defence. And then we had Saka playing left wing-back. To be fair, didn't have to do too much defensively. And when he went forward, he was one of our better players. And then we had Maitland-Niles at right wing-back. And it just wasn't working. It was clear to see that Freddie didn't quite set it up right. And the team just wasn't cohesive at all. So eventually, when we're 2-0 down, or did we make the change at 1-0? I think it was 2-0. We've gone back to a 4-2-3-1 effectively with Saka at left back. And can I just say, it takes real guts for a player that is not in that position. Someone like Saka, who is an out-and-out attacking player, to take on that left back role, similar to Davies for Bayern Munich. Now, I know it's completely different levels, right? You're talking Champions League against Tottenham last night. But it takes a lot of quality, I think, to do that. He's a versatile player, Saka. He can play on the right, he can play on the left. I reckon you could play him in midfield as a 10. You could play him as a striker. And now we've seen he can do a somewhat decent job against weak-ish opposition as a left back. I mean, why not? He's left-footed and he's got great energy, great stamina. And I thought he was one of our better players and got himself a goal and an assist, I believe. So really impressed with Saka tonight, and Martinelli as well. When he came on, did a great job on that left side. I think I prefer Martinelli on the wing. I really do. I know we tried him as a striker a few times under Emery, but I think I prefer him on that left side, cutting in on that right foot. Inverted wingers are the way forward. Pepe on the right, left-footed. It makes sense. It's what I do in career mode. I just love that. I love wingers that cut inside and then bend shots to the far post or smack it near post. It seems to work really well in the modern day of football, and a lot of teams do it. So, yeah, I think Martinelli is quite clearly our best left winger at the club, because I think Saka would actually be better on the right because of the inverted winger type role that he could play. Another player that I thought did really well tonight, well, somewhat well, was Nelson. I thought Nelson, I think he's got great potential. I really do think he's a great player, but I guess we're still waiting to find his natural position. Definitely a winger with that pace, but he was doing quite a lot down through the middle as well, I noticed. And Smith Rowe was even more impressive. I think Nelson was okay. I think it was a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I thought there were moments, though, where he did really well tonight. But Smith Rowe really, him and Saka both did very well tonight. Really happy with Smith Rowe. Bit of an injury-prone player so far, but nice to see him back into the squad. And he does look like a good player. He's great with the ball. He can move with the ball so well. He's very agile. He seems to dance around players, and that's a big yes from me. I like that. We haven't got really many players like that. So Smith Rowe is, I think, more so a player for the future than maybe a Nelson for us. He can play on the wings as well. I think he started mainly down that right side tonight, but when he was cutting inside, and it's more his work rate I was impressed with. He was getting back and defending quite a lot. And I really liked his interchanging with Maitland-Niles on the right side and then coming inside with Willock in a slightly deeper role. It was good. In general, I thought those guys I've just mentioned all had very good games, but there's one player that came in today that I think had a really poor game. Two, actually. We'll talk about Mavropanos first. Now, Mavropanos feels like he's been at the club for 4 or 5 years. Maybe is it 3? I know Wenger brought him in. Was it the final season? Either way, this guy, he's still here. We've never really seen him play. And the odd time we've seen him play, I haven't been too impressed. I remember he came on against, was it Manchester United? He started a game against Man United a couple of seasons ago and had a relatively good game. And that's the only time I can really remember being somewhat impressed with him. But I'm sorry, tonight, my God, we saw a player that just isn't very confident. He's a big, tall centre-half, and I get that, but he's so slow. His decision-making was really quite poor. You can't play it through the back. You can't play it around with your defenders when you've got players like these 3 centre-backs that are just so slow. I think David Luiz gets away with it because his passing is just so good, but Dino, man, Mavropanos, the passing, it wasn't the most confidence-inducing display. And then in goal, we had Martinez, who I like him. I like old Martinez. He's been around for so long, out on loan, finally gets his season, his chance, right? He's going to be our backup goalkeeper now that Ospina's gone and whatever, right? Again, similar to what I was just saying about Mavropanos, he can't pass the ball. And we are apparently still trying to pass it out from the back. And I think it's very clear to see that the squad we have just can't hack it. We can't do it. Even with 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs, it doesn't seem very safe, ever. It always leaves us vulnerable. Quick word on the 2 goals we conceded, by the way. Because if you hadn't realised, it was 2-2. We didn't even win this game. Both goals conceded via deflections. There's only so much you can do in terms of the physical deflection. Of course, that's going to be difficult for goalkeepers and defenders to deal with, but the prior movements, the prior moments that you have to block the shot, intercept a pass that leads to the shot, whatever it may be, we just were too slow. Very, very slow. Socrates, I thought, was unreliable as ever tonight. He just throws himself around, which I get. Sometimes that's quite good. You know, you're putting pressure on the player with the ball really quickly, but there are times when you just need to actually focus and do your job, and he doesn't do that. Very similar to Mustafi, bit of a headless chicken sometimes, just running around, trying to bowl players over and get a slide tackle in or whatever. And it's not great when you concede goals like that, and half of it's not your fault, but you've got to remember, we allowed those shots to happen. So going 2-0 down wasn't great, but the fight we showed to get back in the game, Lacazette got his moment and Saka as well. And to be fair, we looked like the most likely to score and to end up winning the game 3-2, but it wasn't meant to be. I think Standard Liège actually had a very good game. I really was impressed with them. It's a shame they weren't able to kind of do it. It would have been incredible, wouldn't it? I know they had to score like 5 goals or something. It was never really going to happen, but as soon as Vitória took the lead, you could hear the crowd, you could see the bench, you could see the players just going crazy and trying to lump the ball forward, because if they won this game and Vitória held on, they would have gone through, which is mind-blowing considering what it looked like before the game. So no one expected Vitória to win, and no one expected Standard Liège to win by 5 or whatever it would have taken, but it very almost happened in a way. They really could have won this game and come through with us, which is, in a way, I think that might have been quite poetic. You know, we would have lost the game, but for something good, because why not, right? It's a little bit of a fairy tale, isn't it? Seeing a team go through when they really had no right to go through. But in general, it wasn't a good performance tonight. It goes down as just another really boring and lackluster first half performance, saved by just 10, 15 minutes of energy, which we should be playing with from the start. It doesn't make sense to me that a team is so consistently bad and then can switch it on just like that and play out of their minds. It's a mental thing, for sure. It's a confidence thing. If we had won this game, I think it would have done us a world of good, considering we would have won then 2 games in a row. I know, right? 2 games in a row? That would have been incredible. But Freddie, again, a chance for him to learn. He's still making mistakes, and he's going to make mistakes, as any manager would in this situation. I'm hearing reports that we're not close to signing a permanent manager, so Freddie's here to stay for at least another couple of weeks, it seems. Ancelotti apparently on his way to Everton. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I hear that Everton are also looking at Emery, which I actually think would be pretty good for Emery. I reckon that's kind of his level. And then maybe he can step back up to a club as big as Arsenal. I know, it's awful, right? But honestly, yeah, it's very easy to be completely negative and say that it was such a terrible performance. A draw against Standard Liège is not good enough. But in the scheme of things, in the rut we're in, or the ruts we're in, it's actually not too bad, considering we went 2-0 down to some pretty unlucky goals. It is what it is, though, and we're through. I mean, that is all that matters. We've managed to save some energy for the big game on Sunday against City, which I'm sure we'll comfortably lose, but it gives us a chance. You know, Aubameyang only played 5 minutes, for example. Ozil has stayed back, so Pepe can come in again as well. I think we'll be roaring to go, and hopefully the confidence will still be there, because we haven't lost tonight. We've progressed in first place, which means we will avoid clubs like, I think we'll avoid Inter Milan, for example, and Benfica, the big boys. So that can only be a good thing for us, right? So, yeah, game over, 2-2, and we progress through. Be exciting to see the draw. I don't know when that is. I'm guessing it's kind of soon. I always forget these dates, but hopefully we get... I don't want an easy draw, because it's sometimes a bad thing. You want to test yourselves, right? I kind of want a mid-range team, but not... I don't want Inter Milan or something like that. So you want to go against someone that's not on your level, but close, maybe, because it gives your team something to fight for. I don't want to be playing against nobodies and then actually lose because we underestimate them or whatever. That is a curse I want to avoid. So a relatively decent team in the next round would be suitable, I think. And don't forget, you've got to beat the best to be the best. If we really, really want to win the Europa League this season, we will have to win some tough games against the likes of Inter Milan or whoever it may be. So let's just see who we get and bring on Sunday. Super excited for that one.